So you got yourself back in the nostalgia mood, you've watched Cobra Kai Season 5, and now you kind of want to talk about the spoilers, or kind of the best moments. I've got you. I'm going to be talking spoilers, and the ending, sort of explain where I think it might be going. Let's jump in. There were some really nice plot devices in Season 5 that I really liked. One in particular was Chozen being a mole in Cobra Kai. I think that worked out because it created a nice tension. We were always worried for Chozen and wondering whether Silver was going to find out, and in the back of my mind I'm thinking, of course Silver's going to find out because he was always that smart. The snake in the grass kind of moves and plans ahead, and he always seemed to be one step or 6 steps ahead with Miyagi and Chozen, and all of the enemies proved to be the case. I really liked Chozen playing the guy, especially when he had to take on all the other senseis, just kind of showcasing how great he is at, martial arts. And later on, when they come up against one of the stronger senseis, it was again adding a sense of, oh wow, these guys are much stronger, because we've seen Chozen take on 6 and then they struggled to take on 1. And I like that setup. I think it worked well. I also like the plot device of giving us some emotionality between Daniel and Amanda. When Amanda's had enough, she takes the kids and leaves, and she goes to a family member. And that's where we see Jessica from the original, when she was around with Silver. It was such a nice kind of nostalgic moment, and her telling Amanda how difficult Silver has been and how evil he was and how he manipulates everyone, I thought was a nice touch to get Amanda in the kind of the same space and understanding. And then her having that bar brawl, well, she really didn't fight, but she was going to get into a fight, and the daughter saving her, I think, was kind of again saying, hey, you don't seek out violence and you don't have this history with all these people, and yet you still ended up in a bar fight. Here, your husband needs you now because he's fighting probably his toughest enemy to date so far. My favorite character throughout in Season 5 with the adults is definitely Johnny this time. Because he's kind of decided at the beginning that he's done with karate, he's put down Cobra Kai or Eagle Fang because they lost the tournament. He's concentrating on his relationship with his son and his kind of surrogate son, and his girlfriend, partner, future life, wife, all of that. And here she ends up pregnant, and the way he reacts to that was just brilliant. He sits down and learns what it means to be a dad. He doesn't want to make the same mistakes. So he's still Johnny. He's still saying the same things. He's still making some of the same mistakes, but I was worried that they were going to change who he is as a character and we're going to lose some of the fun from him, but that's not the case. They've managed to create a character that has grown up but still kind of keeps that rock 80s vibe that he has going on. When he was doing like the Uber or I'm delivering man and he's getting the 1-star reviews, I thought that was so his character. I kind of wanted him to niche, say, here, come for a ride in a true nostalgic experience. Because with him and Metallica, I love the fact that the baby's probably going to be being able to sleep with Metallica because that's what they're going to play on her belly. I just love the Johnny character, and the moment that he reacted to becoming a father again showed how much growth he had. Took him a little bit of time to get his mind right, but he did. There's this conversation I often have with my wife that sometimes women take grudges far too long and they, make it a lifetime thing and they can never forgive each other. That is a generalization, but there is this kind of thing where guys have some serious issues with each other and they need to sort it out. I don't know if you ever experienced this. I certainly did with a few of my friends. I would say best friends. We had grievances that we thought were, were really important. We'd have a good kind of punch up, not beat each other to death, but just a brawl. And afterwards, we're best friends again. And that's why I love this moment between Robbie and Miguel. And it was interesting seeing Johnny kind of instigate this. And then he gets worried as the parents, seeing how far they're willing to go, until we have that flashback of Miguel falling over. We had that whole season where he had a broken back sort of thing and had to sort himself out, and them finally being able to word what they're doing and why they're fighting and why they kind of at each other's throats. It sorted it all out. So they got the punching out of the way, and then they were able to use their words. I thought it was a really powerful emotional moment that helped cement the characters again with growth. Kresse's character in Season 5 I thought was very interesting because mostly we see him sitting down talking to people. We don't see him get into any action, but we do see how he's continuing to manipulate all of those around him. His psychiatrist is having none of it. She's not trusting him, and he wants to get out of jail, but it soon comes to light that he's not going to be able to do that. It just doesn't look like anybody's going to give him the time of day, even those that he's manipulating around. He obviously has a plan, and we'll talk about that at the end when I'm doing Ending Explained. But for now, the moment where he had to actually fight, because he's quite an elderly gentleman, I love the fact that we saw him as his younger self fighting these guys in the prison. I thought that was a really good way to do it, because I don't know if you've noticed a few of the other adults, their fighting just looks slower, not nearly as good as the kids, and we understand that, but sometimes you think maybe they should be replaced in certain key fighting choreographed moments with their stunt doubles. And here, I thought this was a really clever way, because we'd already established that he's been thinking about his past. The way he looks when we see him, what he sees himself through or remembers himself through as his younger self taking on those guys in the prison was great. And I thought it was a really clever way to showcase that. I really liked that moment. I like the fact that we got Mike Barnes back and that he's grown, and we had that fight sequence with Chozen that we never got to see. And then there was a little fight sequence with Chozen and Mike Barnes and Daniel. And it made sense to me. But then later on, when he comes to kind of help and save the day, and they go and confront Silver, and he gets knocked out almost straight away with the vase and is out for most of the fight. I thought that was pretty hilarious, although I would have liked to have seen him fight some more. It was interesting to me, that last fight where they were fighting so many of the senseis, where they struggled to fight one. Suddenly Johnny is able to at least defend 5 or 6. I do love the moment he sees the picture of his unborn child. He was able to level up, use that as a thing to fight against. I really thought Chozen was dead as well. I'm so glad he wasn't and was limping, because that looked fatal. It looked like a seriously bad injury, and again confirmed how bad Silver was. And in the end, we got Silver going to jail. I don't for a moment think that he's out. I think although he has a litany of things to fight against, he has a lot of money and a lot of deep pockets and probably a lot of lawyers. I wouldn't be surprised if he comes back at a later series. This isn't the last series, and that is shown probably by Reese escaping jail the way he did, and I think that was pretty obvious what he was doing the whole time when he was leaning in with the psychiatrist getting the key card. They showed us that earlier when he saw her leaving, and that she was using her key card fob to get outside, and his fake death. That was all kind of his escape. I do think that now that he's escaped, that we will see him in season 6. I don't think he's going to lay low, because even during the episodes of the little bits that we saw him in season 5, he was talking about how Johnny was his best student, and it feels like that is his legacy. It's all about legacy for these guys, for both Reese and Silver. And now that Reese is out, I think he's going to have to be sneaky, but I do think he's going to come back for Cobra Kai. Probably not how we're expecting. It's going to be interesting who or what is going to come back. Like, who are they going to bring back as the bad guys to help Reese? I'm hoping that at some point, and maybe it's just me, that we might get the actress from the next Karate Kid, the female actress. It's just, they've been bringing everybody in. It's kind of those moments like, hey, who else has appeared in the Karate Kid movies franchise so far? Who else can we bring in? I think they probably will do that. How far can they push Cobra Kai? I'm guessing Miyagi Fang, because I've put the two dojos together that are going to appear in the World Tournament. I'm guessing that the World Tournament will see the return of Cobra Kai in some form by Kresse, or in a weird Jim Carrey costume, something like that. Maybe someone will represent Cobra Kai on behalf of Kresse. I reckon Kresse is going to go about proving his innocence. There is a way to do that if one of the characters come forward and says, hey, I was beaten up by Silver, not by Kresse. Then he might get his name cleared. But he also escaped jail, so there's going to be this weird kind of law thing, but somehow they're going to work his character back in, control Cobra Kai, and then go and have them head off each other at the World Tournament. Or we could just put that all to the side and just have the next season about them going to the World Tournament, which I think could be fun. It's still able to bring nostalgia characters back in some form, but seeing where they go from there will be interesting. Maybe someone else will continue the Cobra Kai name, because not everything was sorted out. They saw that Silver was bad, but I think a lot of them still want to be a part of Cobra Kai. Could have a new young leader, perhaps. Let me know your thoughts down below. Thanks so much for watching. But most of all, until next time, remember, live long and Tuesday.